And what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Cheap Ludes back again to finish up the tier list series with the center position. This is episode 5. If you haven't seen the other 4, I suggest you go watch them. Might help you out a little bit. Either way, we're going to be ranking and filing all of the centers in NBA 2K21. My team. Do you like my YouTube voice? I have been working on it. It is not going so well. So, if you haven't seen any of the other episodes in the series, let me go through the parameters real quick just so you know what's up. S tier, unquestionable best cards in the game. Now, it gets tricky when it comes to centers because typically when it comes to S tier, I try to make it all-encompassing. Like, these guys can do a little bit of everything in NBA 2K22. My team or in my team in general when I do these tier lists. Early in the year, especially this year, we've seen a lot of centers that have very, very noticeable kind of flaws. And that's a good thing. So it makes S tier kind of tricky. A tier, just a shade under S tier, and I'll go ahead and explain why everyone's there as well. B tier, middle of the pack, guys. They'll definitely have some weaknesses, especially at the center position, of which I will talk about. C tier, super middle of the pack, guys. You can get away with using them, but it's best to use some of the B tier guys. But some of your favorite cards might even be in C tier. You know what I mean? D tier. There's room for improvement, but I mean, if it's somebody that you like a lot, you can definitely get away with them for sure. And F tier, just not good. You should 100% upgrade. So we'll start with Evo Channing Frye. I would put him in B tier. He blocks a lot of shots. He's not the greatest defender. He's kind of slow. He's also wet from the outside. He's like basically a significantly worse version of Dikembe Mutombo. Basically. Yeah, his negatives are for sure that he's a little bit slow. He does have good size at 7 feet. He can hit wet from wide open threes, from the corners, from the top of the key, from wherever you really need him to hit from. And that's a big reason why he's in B tier. He provides you with that spacing that a lot of other cards don't provide you. But you're going to have to take a hit on ball handling, defense, rebounding. He's all right. He is a little bit slow, though. He might get undercut by some people. Domination Evo, James Edwards, F. Yeah, he's not very good. I don't know if anyone really expected a James Edwards card to be tight, but if you did, I'm sorry. 2K22 starter, Vucevic. C. I mean, he's okay. He's just not very good defensively. He's kind of sluggish. He's not undersized, but he's, 6'10", I believe. I would use Channing Frye over him 10 out of 10 times, no question. The GOAT from last year, Matt Bonner, D. This card sucks. First off, they took away his Klay Thompson release for whatever reason and gave him the same jump shot as Will Chamberlain, which is absolutely horrendous. So they basically took away the one reason of which you would use Matt Bonner. Sometimes 2K does things where I'm just kind of confused. Like, I just don't understand it. Spencer Haywood. Low B tier. Like, Spencer Haywood is really good. Like, he's one of the fastest centers in the game. He can handle the ball. He can attack the rim. You're not going to get a lot of shooting from him, and he's undersized. But at the same time, for what he brings you, you're not really getting from any other center at B tier. I'm not saying he's going to be high in B tier. He'll probably be, like, over here somewhere, but B tier makes sense for him. Onyeka Okongwu. Pretty much the opposite of Matt Bonner, where Matt Bonner brings you absolutely nothing except jump shooting with a horrendous jump shot. Onyeka brings you absolutely nothing but defense, but he's also undersized a bit too, so I would put him in D tier. Dunktober Wendell Carter Jr. Look, this card frustrates me deeply. I'll be completely honest with you guys. Like, anybody who watched my stream last when I was playing Limited, like, Dunktober Wendell Carter was very frustrating for me. He's a little bit small at 6'10". He will get out rebounded, especially if someone's using like a Channing Frye or one of the taller guys on this list. But at the same time, offensively, he's very, very good. He's decent in the post. He's got a pretty easy to green jump shot. He's not quite as good as Chris Boucher. I would use Chris Boucher at the center position 10 out of 10 times over him. But Wendell's solid. Like, overall, he's solid. He's like B tier. Stacey King. I mean, F. There's nothing really particularly wrong with Stacey King. He's better than James Edwards. It's just like, he's a Sapphire token reward center. Like, you know what you're getting yourself into. Al Horford. Al Horford is actually relatively complete. I would put him in B tier. If you were lucky enough to get this card's really solid overall. He plays excellent defense, kind of a wonky jump shot, but you can shoot the 3 ball. Doesn't really have the greatest shooting badges, obviously, but hey, man, he shoots and plays defense. At this point, this is about all you can ask for from a center. Not really many centers are going to have ball handling abilities, and the ones that do are usually going to be kind of smaller, like a Spencer Haywood type deal. And it's rare that a center will both have defensive presence and a jump shot. All right, Alonzo Mourning. I mean, really competent defender, right? Alonzo Mourning is always a really good defensive card in 2K. I would put him in C tier for sure. He has a big player build. He can hit the mid-range. He plays good defense. He's basically like a worse version of what this Al Horford will bring you. You know what I mean? That's kind of the best way I can describe it. Big Diesel, A tier. Big Diesel's in A tier. I mean, he is one of the most unstoppable postcards in this game for sure. There's nothing really that I can argue against that. But you can kind of, to a certain extent, neutralize him by using like, a Gobert or Wilt or Kareem. That being said, his player build is just so big. And with the way next gen specifically is, where layups just go in at such a high clip, like Shaquille O'Neal is about as unstoppable as any center is going to be. The reason I have him in A tier specifically, though, is he brings you like no ball handling, no shooting and stuff like that. I'm tempted to throw him in S tier, and I might, but I'm going to leave him in A for now. He's also like super expensive for no reason. Alvin Adams. I would throw him in C tier. He's like a pretty good Wendell Carter-like player. Like, that's kind of the best way I can describe him. He doesn't particularly excel at anything, but he does mildly okay at kind of everything. You know what I mean? So for that reason, I would, I don't know. I would say he's okay, like C tier. He's better than Matt Bonner. I can say that. Rudy Gobert, B tier. Look, he brings you no offense whatsoever, but this is one of the best defensive centers in the game. Obviously, outside of like guys like Kareem and Wilt, and honestly, I think he is a better defensive center than Shaq, but it's close because Shaq's player build's so big, he out rebounds almost everybody all the time. Rudy Gobert is extremely good. He blocks shots at such a high clip, and most of the guys on this list are not going to be able to rebound him, like out rebound him at all. It's like not going to happen. So for that reason, I would put him in B tier. I have Al Horford just a bit ahead of him because he's just better at, offensively. But I mean, for that reason, I don't know. Gobert's tough. Like, he might even go, it depends on your play style where he's actually placed in B tier. You know what I mean? If you're somebody who uses your center as a defensive stopper, you'd have him like up here, possibly in A tier. But if you're someone who needs a little bit more offensively out of your center, then this is kind of where you would put him, I guess. Bill Walton. Bill Walton's decent, actually. Like, he's like a worse version of what Gobert brings you. Like, he's good in the post. He blocks shots at a high clip. He's really hard to out rebound. For that reason, I'd throw him in C tier. He's better than Matt Bonner and Onyeka Okongwu. I can't say that he's the same. Bob McAdoo. Similar to Spencer Haywood, but he's not as good as a ball handler. But at the same time, like, he's a really solid overall center. I personally prefer, like, if you were in the Amethyst token market, to grab someone like Ibaka, just because he offers pretty much the same defense with a little bit more shooting, a little more versatility. Bob McAdoo's a little bit faster and stuff, and he seems to rebound about as well, if not better. That being said, like, I can't say for certain that he deserves to be in B tier. It's just how weak this center position is right now. You know what I mean? Brad Daugherty. I don't like Brad Daugherty. I'll be the first to tell you, I don't like this card. I don't like Brad Daugherty ever in 2K. But the player pool is so weak that I can't even sit here and tell you he deserves to be in C tier. He deserves to be in B tier, which is gross. Brad Daugherty should never deserve to be in B tier, but here we are at the center position. He's in B tier. Brook Lopez. He's decent, but I would put him in like D tier. He can't shoot for some reason. Like, if he could shoot corner threes, he'd be C tier, borderline B tier. He's just so slow, dude. Like, he's just like so slow. It hurts. I put him in C. He's not quite as bad as these guys. Chris Kaman is, though. Chris Kaman is not good. Starter Kareem. I mean, Kareem's still so good in the post and good defensively. It doesn't matter how slow he is. He is slow, though. He's like 25 speed slow. Like, it's quite bad. I would put him in C tier. Dan Issel. Oh, Dan Issel is definitely better than Alvin Adams, dude. C tier for sure. Is this someone you should go spend 9K on? No. But I mean, if you have him already and you have a lack of depth at center position, Dan Issel, however you say his name, I mean, you could do a lot worse. He also is sick, dude. He's like missing teeth. He looks like a hockey player. Like, he's super tight. I don't know. DeMarcus Cousins. I don't think this DeMarcus Cousins card is probably that good, but look, you got to work with what you're given. And in 2K right now, the center position is really weak. He's a B tier center, and that's gross. That should not be the case. Marvin Bagley. I hate that I have to put him in B tier because I hate him so much. Like, I hate this card more than any card in the game. I despise this card. I hate him so much. Anybody who's watched me play Limited will know how much I despise Marvin Bagley. Like, he seems to do nothing on the defensive end, and offensively, he doesn't seem to bring me anything either. But people love this card. I don't understand why. I mean, stats-wise, you look at him, he belongs to be here. I'll put him ahead of Spencer Haywood, and that's it. Dwight Howard. Big Dwight is a force on the inside. I would put him in C tier for sure. He's not bringing you anything besides rebounding and post presence, but he does do both of those things very, very well. So for that reason, I'll put him in C. George Mikan, out here in the white guy holy trinity. Dan Issel, Alvin Adams, George Mikan, and Bill Walton, who I did not notice. George Mikan's okay. Look at this, man. Like, look, just the pinnacle of basketball right here from George Mikan. Wilt Chamberlain. A. I would say A. If he had better ball handling, he would be up to S for sure. No question about it. But A is where I'm at. I can't even say he's really that much better than Shaq. Like, I don't think anyone can say that. Great defensively. He out-rebounds everybody. He plays pretty well in the post. He could shoot the midi a little bit. I think he's got like a 60 mid-range, which is like not good. It's like pretty bad. No, I'm sorry. This one has a 48 mid-range. Never mind. He can't shoot the mid-range. Yeah, for that reason, A tier. Ivica Zubac. Some people love this card for some reason. I don't see it, but I'll put him in D tier. Mason Plumly. The love people have for this card, honestly kind of boggles my mind. I don't really understand what it is. He seems to do okay out there, but people have like a weird love for this card that I don't fully understand. I'm going to put him in C tier, and if that upsets you, I don't know what to tell you. Art Gilmore. Art Gilmore's like worse Bill Walton. I love Art Gilmore as a Bulls fan. Also, like, as a fan of afros and, stretch from NBA Street chin strap beards, shovel beards. Obviously, I'm going to love Art Gilmore, but him himself, he's just so slow and just not good. Karl Anthony Towns. He brings you nothing, and I mean nothing, on the defensive end. But offensively, he's probably the best center in the game. Like, realistically, he's the most complete offensive center in the game. He's not like a really good ball handler, but compared to the rest of the guys on this list, like, he kind of is. You know what I mean? He can shoot well. He can play the post incredibly well. He's got a couple Hoff badges in the post. He rebounds pretty decent too. I mean, yeah, A tier is where I would put him. Kevin McHale. Yeah, this card is not very good. Dunktober Jokic. Dunktober Jokic is one of the most complete cards in the game, but he has a couple massive pitfalls, like right off the bat. He, for whatever reason, just does not want to rebound the ball a bunch of the times that he goes up for it, or just doesn't go up for it at all. It just kind of depends. He can handle the rock a little bit. He can shoot, but he does have kind of a slow jump shot, but at least he can shoot. He's just really not great defensively, and that holds the card back from being like a complete S-tier game-changing card. You know what I mean? Mark Eaton. He's like better Rudy Gobert. Mark Eaton is an absolute paint beast. There's no way he should be anywhere lower than B tier, but A tier may be too high for him when guys like Shaq and Wilt exist that are just as good in the paint. But Mark Eaton is also 7'4" and massive. He blocks a lot of shots. Kimbey. I would throw him in S tier. It's just like no center in this game brings you the combination of floor spacing, 3-point shooting, and defense that Dikembe Mutombo brings you. Like, is he completely as good defensively as like Wilt? Yeah, I mean, he actually is. Like, he's very close to Wilt defensively. But then he's also bringing you the element of not shot creation, but being able to shoot, period, just shooting. So for that reason, I would put him in S tier. I don't think he'll stay in S tier for very long. I'm sure we'll get a new center within the next few weeks that's a little bit better. Mitchell Robinson. This is one of the most annoying cards in the game. I will say that. He's so good inside, like at rebounding the ball and playing defense exclusively. He's not really that good of a post creator, and he's not that great of a scorer. But defensively, this card is so good. I know I'm going to butthurt people by putting him in C tier. It's just he literally does two things just really well. And if you need those two things, he's got you. But if you need anything else from him, he doesn't have you. And he's not as good at those two things as Mark Eaton or Rudy Gobert. So he's just free. Nate Thunder Thurman. He's actually okay. I'd put him like bottom of C tier. Very similar to like Bill Walton or Art Gilmore. Daryl Dawkins. Chocolate Thunder, which is just the sickest nickname. Daryl Dawkins is incredible. Like, he's so good. If you're lucky enough to have this card already, he's one of the fastest centers in the game. He dunks over everybody. He can rebound. He's just a shade kind of small. That's like the only issue. And he's not even like that small. I think he's like, let me double check his actual height in game. But I believe he's 6'10", which is not really that bad at all. Like, especially when he has as large of a vertical as he does. The Evo's not terrible either. Once you Evo him, he is able to shoot the mid-range. The 45 ball handle is not great, but he does have 75 speed. He's got good interior badges. He plays lockdown defense. He's not shooting anything, aside from the occasional mid-range, but that 90 standing dunk, that 90 driving dunk, like, this card is an incredible free card. You could argue he's the worst card in A tier, and he should not be down in B tier, but I think he's leaps and bounds better than these B tier guys. Rick Smits. C. For a certain play style. You know what? Nah, Rick Smits is tight. I put him in B tier. He's like Mark Eaton, but he's much better offensively. Mark Eaton is still significantly better defensively, though. Speed, same. They're both 7'4" with like 25 speed. There's really no like way I can argue one is better than the other speed-wise. Like, they're about the same. Tiago Splitter. Where's Zubac at? You guys can hang out down here, Eastern European homies. D tier. Vin Baker. Vin Baker's not bad. I would put him like towards the top of C tier. He's okay. He's just undersized. That's the real issue with Vin Baker. He's not particularly great at anything. Not even really that great at dunking. And he's a little bit undersized. For that reason, C tier is appropriate. Kareem. S. I think Kimbey and Kareem deserve to be the only S tier cards on this list. Kareem is just so unstoppable in the paint. Like, he can, with the current update that we're on right now, where layups going at a ridiculously high clip, Kareem's combination of animations, height and length, stats, and badges are unrivaled in this game. And for that reason, I'll put him into S tier. Now, if it was pre-patch, I would throw him right next to Wilt and Shaq and have probably Dikembe as the only S tier guy, but Kareem is one of the most annoying cards in this game, dude. I hate him so much. Vlade Divac. C tier. He's actually pretty decent. Willis Reed. C tier as well. I mean, he's actually a really good rebounder. You'd be shocked how well Willis Reed rebounds the ball. He does this every year to me, where I think he's not going to be that good, and he ends up being pretty solid. So it's weird. As always, it's been your boy Cheap Ludes, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, as you always do. Don't be too mean, all right? I know this is going to get at least 3 dislikes, because every video I do does. So whatever. I'll be back tomorrow with some more content. You know they're going to tease our Friday content, which I'm just guessing is going to be a flash set involving Steph Curry or Michael Jordan. I've already said this, and I believe it to be factual. Let me know what you think is coming Friday down in the comments below. Peace out, guys. Have a good day.